Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Editor-in-Chief of Total Retail. I'm here at the CRMC conference in Chicago, and I am joined by Jennifer Hoth, the Director of Global Loyalty, Marketing, and CRM at ASICS Digital. Jennifer and I are going to be talking a little bit about ASICS and its personalization efforts, actually a topic that Jennifer will be speaking at here at the show tomorrow. So thanks for joining me today, Jennifer.
Hi, yes, thank you for having me.
So to get us started, why don't you go ahead and tell our audience a little bit about your role at ASICS? I gave your title, but tell them a little bit about kind of your day-to-day work.
Sure. So just a little bit about ASICS Digital in general that I just maybe want to clear up for everyone. We certainly are part of the ASICS family. You can think of ASICS Digital as the center of excellence, if you will, for the rest of the region. So my team is really in charge of putting together the overall strategy, global strategies for CRM and the loyalty program from the global perspective. So my team really heads up, again, like I said, we put all the strategies together, push that through to the different regions. It is definitely our job to make sure that we are on top of everything that's happening in the industry and making sure that we create a best-in-class program for all of our regions.
Yeah, that's a great way to kind of set the stage and give some context for the audience. So I appreciate you doing that. As I noted, you're going to be speaking here at CRMC. You're going to talk a little bit about personalizing the customer journey. Tell us what that means in particular for ASICS.
Sure. So personalization can mean a lot of different things. I've been in the industry for a while, there are still some people that think that putting a first name and subject line is personalization, and certainly it goes way beyond that, especially after some of the talks earlier where we're talking about how the landscape has changed, especially since COVID. Consumers are aware that companies are taking data or collecting data from them. And so it's very important that we're doing that and we're using it in a meaningful way. So personalization to us is more than just the first name and the subject line. It's more than just, hey, you purchased this pair of sneakers a couple of years ago. It's really paying attention to where they're involved and making sure that we stay relevant with them. So the session that I'll be talking about with our partner Jebit is really collecting data in a meaningful and engaging way and making sure that the consumer knows why we're collecting that data and making sure that we're making meaningful communications with them.
That's a good segue into my next question, Jennifer, in terms of as ASICS goes about trying to personalize the customer journey. Obviously, that data collection and getting to understand your customers is critical. That's really what it's all about. So tell us a little about what ASICS is doing to better understand its customers, specifically their wants and needs, so that you can then deliver upon them.
So one thing I want to mention as well is under the ASICS umbrella, we also Runkeeper as part of our family. So that's a running app. And then we also have Race Roster as part of the family. So signing up for different races. So it's not just what people are doing on asics.com or in our stores, also paying attention to how often are they running? So then we can follow up with, hey, it's time for a new pair of sneakers. But collecting data is certainly very important. It goes beyond just collecting data for a profile center. Profile centers are great, but a lot of times that information becomes obsolete very quickly. And so making sure that we are collecting data often and in different forms. So this could be interactive email in a welcome series and trying to understand why they've signed up for emails and things like that so we can deliver them relevant content. Also, in my conversation that I'll have tomorrow, we created a quiz for runner personas. And so we're making it fun for the consumer, and then we're understanding how often are they running and what are they into. And maybe they aren't into running. They're more just, casual walkers or things like that. So really taking, data that we can from transactions, but then the data that they're also providing us by taking these quizzes. So again, it's making sure that we don't do this just once a year. We're doing it often. We also work with consumer insights to send out surveys to our consumers to understand, how they're liking our program.
Yeah. So you actually talked about kind of some of those examples of, you said collecting data often and doing it in different forms and different sources of data. So one of the things that you're hearing about here at the show, even early on, and is kind of the impending demise of third-party cookies and what that means for retailers and brands' data collection efforts. Tell us a little bit of what the impact potentially could be at ASICS, and then how that may influence your personalization efforts going forward.
Yeah, certainly it's going to be an impact to a lot of marketers. Even the mail privacy protection with email has been, done a number on our analytics and how we measure success and things like that. So the ability to partner with somebody like Jebbit, where we're able to do these interactive experiences, it's very important that we are getting data from our consumers, and we do it, again, in a meaningful way, making sure that we stay engaged. I mean, we're very lucky at ASICS to have a very engaged customer base, and so we have customers that are just willing to give us data without necessarily giving a discount or anything like that, because they love the brand. And so it's very important to make sure that we are collecting zero-party, first-party data as often as we can, to make sure that we become irrelevant, or with the cookie deprecation and things like that.
Yeah. And they love the brand. In exchange, they're giving you their data, but in exchange, you have to give them the experiences. And
Absolutely.
It's just what you're doing. So it's great. So let's talk about some of the goals. When you talk about the personalization of customers' journey, what are the goals that you have in mind at ASICS, and how are you measuring yourself? What are some of the metrics that you look at?
Sure. So I think from what I hear a lot about, especially higher up leadership, and I've heard this throughout my entire career, is, how many people do we have on the file? How many ASICS members do we have? Acquisition is always something that is talked about, but it costs 2 times as much to acquire a new consumer than it is to retain an existing one. So one of the things that I'm implementing and trying to make a bigger case for at ASICS as a whole is retention, and looking at that. So customer lifetime value, and it's not just about the number of transactions. So our purchase cycle is longer. We have, people buy running shoes about once a year. So we don't want to base customer lifetime value just on the transactions. It's also taking a look at, if they're using the Runkeeper app, how often are they doing that? Are they doing guided workouts? Are they registering for races? Are they browsing and things like that? So those are definitely some of the things that we have to keep in mind. So a lot of it is going to shift this focus from just purely acquisition to retention. Yeah,
and I would imagine you gave some great examples. It's not just purely transactional. You're looking at engagement level too, with some of those other, whether signing up for races or using the app, some of those other activities, gives you a good indication of how engaged the customer is with the brand.
Absolutely.
So then tell us a little bit, you're probably going to talk about some of this tomorrow, but also any just advice you might have for other retailers and brands that are looking to do what ASICS is trying to do and personalize that customer experience, particularly as we talked about in a cookieless environment going forward.
So I can say in my career, I have worked in, whether it was whether agency side or on the brand side, I've worked where I was a team of 1 all the way to a team of like 500. So what I will say is that don't be afraid. You just need to start somewhere. And so we're doing all of these cool things, like I talked about, all these interactive surveys and whatever else, collecting data. We don't have a big team. We don't. And so there are plenty of vendors out there that can help enable these types of things. We certainly rely on a number of different vendors for a number of different things. And just start collecting data. Just start somewhere. It can be as easy as a survey. If you don't have the capacity to do that, make sure that you're listening to your consumers. Talk to your customer service team. What are you getting complaints about? Watch social media. You can gain a lot of insights from those things and be able to change some of your CRM programs or your loyalty programs on the fly. So even if you don't have the money to spend with a vendor, you don't have the time, you can get scrappy and pay attention to some of those things.
And I would imagine, to your point, speaking to other departments within your organization, talking to your customer service teams, if you have physical stores, talking to your sales, your store associates, getting that kind of firsthand knowledge from the people that are really on the front lines can be incredibly helpful.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Talk to whomever you can, whomever touches the consumer.
Great. Well, I want to take the opportunity to thank Jennifer Hoth, the Director of Global Loyalty Marketing and CRM at ASICS Digital, for joining us here at CRMC. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.